Hello and welcome back once again to the Wrestling Rant. It's time for Raw from November 4th, 2013. They never said what city they were in, but I saw somewhere that it was somewhere in South Carolina. I don't know, maybe that's wrong. Either way, after last week's horrible Raw, this week was better, but that's not really saying much. It was better than last week's Raw, but last week's Raw was so bad it really doesn't take much to be better than that. Not to mention the fact that this week's Raw was just fucking boring. I'm really getting bored with this shit. Anyways, the show starts, CM Punk comes out. And while he's coming out, they recap last week, the Wyatts attacking Punk. And this had already been announced. They normally show a little preview for Raw about 10 to 15 minutes before 9 o'clock during one of the commercial breaks for, I think it's NCIS, whatever show is on before Raw. And they said Punk's gonna take on Luke Harper in a match on Raw. Whatever. Yeah, so Punk comes out and they recap the attack last week, the Wyatts attacking Punk. And then, of course, the blackout and the music hits, and out come all three of the Wyatts. And they recap again while they're coming out, again from last week, the Wyatts attacking Daniel Bryan. After that, Harper gets in the ring with Punk, and we have a match. This match turned out to be okay. A couple of minor highlights. Punk went for the suicide dive early on. Harper blocked it by catching him with like a forearm shot. Back in the ring, Harper's been doing this lately apparently. He grabs him, he gets him flat on the apron, or flat on the mat. Right? They're both face down. And he gets the guy in a headlock, and then he spins around like an alligator. And so they call this the gator roll. So he does that once. After that, Punk goes for the suicide dive again, and he hits it, and there's a commercial break, and Harper does the gator roll again. And there was some more stuff. Punk went up to the top rope. Right. He had hit the big knee in the corner on Harper, and then pulled him into the short arm clothesline, which he usually does to set up the macho elbow. Well, he goes up for the macho elbow, but Rowan is there at ringside, and Punk decides, okay, I'm just going to jump down on him. He jumps down and he clobbers Rowan, whatever. As he's getting back into the ring, Punk, of course, people thought, okay, well, he's distracted, so Punk's gonna lose. No. Harper went for the discus clothesline, and Punk countered it into a roll-up, and he got the win. So Punk wins the match. But of course, then Rowan jumps in the ring and he attacks, and Harper gets back up, and together they're beating the hell out of Punk. And then Bray gets in the ring and looking like he's going to do something. And then all of a sudden, here comes Daniel Bryan with his shoulder taped, and he comes running down with a chair. He's also got his hair slicked back and pulled into a ponytail, which I thought was kind of interesting. But he comes down with a chair, and he starts, trying to help Punk. He's hitting people with the chair. Bray kicks him in the stomach, and so Bryan drops the chair, but Punk picks it up, and he goes to nail Bray with the chair, but Bray ducks and rolls out of the ring because, again, he's a colossal chicken shit. Harper and Rowan get hit with the chair, and they get the fuck out of the ring, and so, yeah. Punk and Bryan are officially downgraded to fucking mid-card. We're gonna piss on you by having you feud with the fucking Wyatts. Fuck that. And by the way, it was pretty much confirmed that Bryan's out of the WWE title picture. So whatever. the commentators segue into a replay of the stupid Triple H interview that they showed from SmackDown of him banning the Big Show for life. And they also happen to show another recap. This is supposedly one of the big gimmicks, or probably the only big gimmick that they did all night, is they were trying to show the cases for both sides of this lawsuit that Big Show has against the WWE. So they're showing clips of what the Big Show has done to warrant being fired and all this other shit. They start off by showing the clip of Triple H getting punched in his damn face, the KO punch that Big Show leveled him with. They show that. Whatever. After that, the commentators once again happen to say, okay, we're going to do another stupid fucking app vote. This time it's going to be for who our WWE champion Randy Orton is going to face later on tonight. It's either going to be The Miz, Dolph Ziggler, or Big E Langston. More on that later. They also happen to say that we're going to have a rematch of the 6-man tag match that happened on SmackDown, Cena and the Rhodeses versus Sandow and the Real Americans. So we're going to get that again too. Commercial break, and when they come back, they recap what just happened between Bryan and Punk and the Wyatts. They cut backstage to Renee Young, who is with CM Punk, and Punk talks about, you know, the thing with the Wyatts, and now he's got an ally with Daniel Bryan, and whatever the fuck. They cut back over to the commentators, and Michael Cole says, we have Paul Heyman on the phone. And so Heyman's talking, and he says that he's over in Europe right now getting medical treatment, all these injuries that he supposedly has, and he basically starts crying. And Cole even asks him, are you crying? And you can hear Heyman sobbing over the phone, and then he just hangs up. So, whatever the fuck. And of course, that segues into Ryback coming out. He comes out, and they show a recap from the stupid app. This is something that apparently happened earlier today or during the commercial break or whatever the fuck. Ryback has gone back to being a bully, and he was bullying Hornswoggle at the catering thing. He took this big cupcake and basically just slammed it in Hornswoggle's face. And then Santino comes up and he says, why don't you pick on someone your own size? And Ryback's like, yeah, whatever, you're not my size. And then Santino's like, I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about him. And he's like pointing behind Ryback. Ryback turns around and there's the Great Khali. So that segues into this. We have a match. There's a commercial break first, and when we come back, the Great Khali is already in the ring, and Santino and Hornswoggle are at ringside. So we have Ryback versus Khali. The match was shit. It went back and forth a little bit. Ryback wound up winning with the meat hook clothesline. He had tried to hit the shell shock earlier in the match, but Khali got out of it. Basically just elbowed him in the head when he was trying to lift him. But yeah, Ryback wins with the meat hook clothesline, and after the match, he goes out of the ring to go after Hornswoggle, but Hornswoggle runs away and Santino cuts him off. And then Santino's trying to whatever. And then from back in the ring, Hornswoggle tries to kick Ryback in the back. And so Ryback turns around. I don't know. There was shenanigans with this and all bullshit. And Santino wound up getting clotheslined and thrown into the fucking barricade by Ryback. And then Ryback just kind of laughed at him and walked away. Match was shit, stupid bullshit, whatever the fuck. We recap 3 weeks ago. The Big Show costing the Shield the tag team titles in that no DQ match with the Rhodeses. And again, this is supposed to be evidence of why Big Show deserved to get fired. And of course, Big Show was already fired, I believe, at that point anyways, so whatever. Kofi Kingston's music hits and he comes out. And then we get another fucking commercial. When we come back, Alberto Del Rio is already in the ring. Yes, it's time for the obligatory Alberto Del Rio match, where he basically squashes somebody. Although this wasn't really a squash match, because it went back and forth. But yeah, it's Del Rio and Kofi. They have a match. It turned out to be decent, I suppose. Couple of minor highlights again. Early on in the match, Alberto wound up out of the ring, and Kofi came running with a big jumping flip senton, which he overshot. He completely missed Alberto, but he fell down anyways, and Kofi lands on his feet. Whatever. Back in the ring, we do the corner spot. One of Kofi's big signature corner spots is they throw him into the corner, and he kicks his legs out in between the ropes, and he flips over the ropes and basically kicks the guy in the face, which is a move he basically ripped off from Christian, who himself ripped it off from some of the X Division guys in TNA, where Christian used to work. But anyways, Kofi goes for this same thing, but Del Rio catches him, grabs his leg, throws it, and then jumps up and stomps on Kofi's chest, driving him into the mat, and it looks like it just knocked all the wind out of Kofi. And I'm actually glad, because I fucking don't like Kofi at all. I'm like, yeah, stomp his fucking guts out, this stupid little prick. I think I've already made it perfectly clear I wouldn't shed a fucking tear if Kofi got fired. He ain't worth shit. He sucks at promos, and he's not all that great of a wrestler. But anyways, after that, Del Rio was mocking Kofi's little boom boom clapping shit, whatever the fuck. Yada yada. Del Rio locks in the cross arm breaker, and he gets the win. So, obviously, fucking Kofi's not gonna win, even though Del Rio basically got jobber entranced. Anyways, after that, they show Big Show's lawsuit and the clips of the examples, and this is actually done with an interesting sort of video package. It looks like a law document, like with the text, and it's Big Show plaintiff versus WWE defendant, whatever the fuck, and then it's like Exhibit A, B, C, whatever, and it's using all these legal terms like defamation of character and all these other things, but it just shows a lot of the clips of how Stephanie and Triple H were just abusing the Big Show, which all of it's true, but here's my question. If the WWE supposedly has this lawsuit against them, why would they show this? Doesn't make any sense. Obviously it's all work. Who gives a fuck? After that shit, it's time for more hype for the stupid app vote for Randy's opponent. And the match is up next. Commercial break. When we come back from the commercial, Randy comes out, and Lawler goes to give the results, but Orton cuts him off. And he's like, just a minute, I want to talk. He basically just starts shitting all over the crowd, saying all the women want me, and all the men wish they were me. And I'm like, didn't we get this same bullshit line every week from Sable like 13 years ago or something like that, when Sable was doing that bullshit? Anyways, after Randy gets done running his mouth, Lawler finally gives the results. And with a resounding, I think it was 75% or something like that, Big E Langston is the winner of the vote. And so he comes out to face Randy. So we have the match, and it actually turned out to be a good match. It went back and forth quite a bit. Big E was able to counter Randy's rope-hung DDT, and then he backdropped Randy out of the fucking ring. Or no, he backdropped him over. Randy landed on the apron, but then Big E hits the ropes on the opposite side of the ring and come running and shoulder checks Randy, and Randy flies into the barricade. There's a commercial break. After that, we do another apron spot. Big E was going for that spear from the apron. He went for it. Randy was on the apron, and Big E went for it, but Randy got out of the way, and so Big E just goes through the ropes and hits the fucking floor. Randy was finally able to hit the rope DDT, and then he went for the RKO, but Big E countered it, threw Randy towards the corner. Randy grabs the ropes and stops himself, and he turns around and gets ran over by Big E doing that big avalanche shot again. And then Big E goes, he takes his straps down, he's getting ready for the big ending. He lifts Randy up for it, but as he's getting ready to hit it, Randy gets out of it, spins Big E around, and hits the fucking RKO, and Randy gets the win. So, it was actually a good match, and Big E actually looked pretty damn good during this match. And the commentators were putting him over, and they were even saying, this guy's the future of the WWE and this shit, you know, whatever the fuck. So, yeah. Once again, they show Triple H's stupid interview from SmackDown, the Big Show being banned. And they also happen to show more evidence against the Big Show. And it's a clip of the Show KO punching Brad Maddox from SmackDown 2 weeks ago or something, I don't know. I didn't actually see the clip of Maddox getting nailed the first time it aired originally. This was the first time I saw it, but damn, Maddox got clocked hard. I mean, his head was bouncing like a bobblehead, and I don't know if it was good selling or if Big Show really just clocked him. 'Cause damn. They also happened to show the clip of Big Show, storming Raw with the semi-truck. That was 2 weeks ago. So they showed that. And after that, Fandango's music hits, and out he comes with Summer Rae. It's time for another mixed tag match. Fandango and Summer are taking on, well, not quite the same team as they did last time. After a commercial break, Natalia's music hits, and out she comes with Tyson Kidd, who's been missing for over a year. He was injured, and not only that, but him and Natalya actually just got married. So, and this is going to be something that's going to be covered in Total Divas when that shit comes back, and of course they're just using this to promote that horse shit. But Tyson Kidd's actually a pretty good wrestler, and oh yeah, he has hair now, which is cool, and he's not wearing those little short trunks anymore, he's wearing full-length tights. So, yeah. So we have this match, and it's decent. The finish is Tyson puts Johnny in the sharpshooter. Johnny taps out, and so Tyson gets the win. Tyson and Natalya win the match. It was decent, but yeah. We cut backstage to Renee Young again, who is with Damian Sandow. And she basically says, let's take a look at your failed cash-in attempt. And so they show the clip of him failing to cash in, him beating the shit out of Cena, and half of the match, and Cena ultimately winning. And then Sandow talks, and what he basically says is, you know what, after a loss like that, you have to look at yourself. And what I saw was not the intellectual savior, was not the, whatever the fuck. What I saw was somebody who needs to refocus and get back in the game. So he's refocused. He still wants to get that world title from Cena. All of a sudden, he's cut off by Zeb Coulter, who comes up with the Real Americans. And Coulter starts talking, and of course, that's basically a segue to the fact that the 6-man tag match is up next. And they cut to a commercial. When they come back, more evidence against the Big Show. They show the clip of him KO punching Randy last week, which was actually in self-defense, so whatever. After that, Cena comes out, and he has to talk about the whole breast cancer thing, which that was last month, so it's over, but he says that, because we're so nice, we're going to extend it to the end of the year. And so we're going to keep selling the pink Rise Above Cancer shirts and all that stuff, and all the proceeds are going to go to the Susan G. Komen, whatever the fuck. Anyways, after he gets done blowing the crowd, which is about the only way Cena can get plenty of cheers, by the way. Finally, Cody and Goldust come out, and then they cut to another fucking commercial. And when we come back, the Real Americans and Sandow are already in the ring. And also, Alberto Del Rio has come back out, and he's on commentary with Zeb Coulter. So him and Coulter are both on commentary with the 3 hacks of commentators we already have. And so what we get is an auditory raping. It's really annoying. Anyways, we get the damn match. It still wound up being decent. There was a commercial break. Cesaro was in the ring with Cena, and he lifted Cena up way high, and as Cena was coming down, he hits that big European uppercut. Just wiped out Cena. Swagger was able to lock in the Patriot lock on Cena. Cena got out of it, and he went for the attitude adjustment on Sandow. This was later on. He went for the attitude adjustment on Sandow, but Sandow got out of it and hit the Edge-o-matic. There was a huge clusterfuck with everybody and whatever. It wounds up being Cesaro in the ring with Goldust. Cesaro does the big swing, but there's more bullshit, and Goldust was able to hit the final cut on Cesaro and get the win. And the final cut is his suplex lifting neck breaker twist thingy. Whatever. So, at least Cena didn't get the win, so who gives a fuck? Anyways, after that, they basically replay the evidence for show, the evidence for supporting him, whatever, they show that. And then they cut backstage where the Big Show has entered the arena. He's way backstage, and he's shaking hands with some of the jobbers. They show the primetime players, and even Zack Ryder's punk ass is there, and there was somebody else, I can't remember. And then it cuts to the office, where Triple H and Vicky Guerrero are there. And Vicky comes running up, and she says, "Triple H, sir, the Big Show's in the arena." And he's like, "Why?" And then Stephanie comes up and she says, "Well, I invited him." And Triple H is like, "Why?" And Stephanie explains that the board of directors has finally decided to get off their asses and do something. This lawsuit that the Big Show has against the company is bad. It's bad for business. So the board of directors has essentially ordered Triple H and Stephanie to solve this problem with the Big Show, to settle the lawsuit without any lawyers involved, without any court shit, so whatever. Triple H tells Vicky to go get the Big Show and have him come to the office. She runs off and they cut to commercial. When we come back, Dolph Ziggler comes out to the ring, and then Curtis Axel comes out. It's time for a match, these two. I didn't see much of the match, but I'm sure it was decent. Ziggler hits the zigzag and gets the win. Yes, Ziggler actually wins for once. And it was also around here that they said that Axel was going to be going against Big E on Main Event. And this is the match that was supposed to happen at the pay-per-view the other week, but it didn't because apparently Axel was hurt. But apparently he's not that hurt because he's already ready to go again. Whatever. After the match, they recap what happened at the beginning of the show with Punk, the Wyatts, and Daniel Bryan. They cut backstage to Daniel Bryan walking through, and up comes Renee Young, and she asks him about whatever the fuck. And Bryan's all serious. He's like, you know what, I got these Wyatts are fucking with me and whatever, and now I've got an ally with Punk and whatever. So yeah, they're pretty much confirming Bryan has nothing to do with the title anymore. He's focused on the Wyatts. Back in the arena, the Usos come out. And then there's a commercial break. We come back in the office again, and there's Triple H and Stephanie. In comes Vicky, and she says, Show doesn't want to meet you in the office. He wants to meet you in the ring. So, whatever. Of course, they're going to do it in the ring. We cut back to the arena, and 3MB are already in the ring to face the Usos. It turns out to be the Usos versus McIntyre and Slater. Match sucked. Usos win with the big Superfly Splash, whatever the fuck. Backstage, Renee Young is with Los Matadores. She basically just tries to figure out which one's which. One of them's Fernando and the other one's Diego, and she goes, "You're Fernando, right?" And he's like, "Sí, mi Fernando," And then she's like, "You're Diego," and he's like, "Yes, mi Diego." And then up comes El Torito, and they make this really bad joke about him being horny. But then they're like, "Oh, but we mean he could horn you in the knee." I'm looking at him like, I know he's a midget, but he comes up further than her knee. Okay? Really bad joke. It sucked. They also played some highlights of the Matadors since they've debuted. Whatever. Back in the arena, the Bellas music hits, and out they come with Eva Marie. Commercial break. There's a recap of what happened last week with Kane basically swearing his allegiance to Stephanie. And when we cut back to the ring, AJ's skipping around the ring. Oksana and Tamina are already in the ring. So it's a 6-diva tag match. The Bellas and Eva Marie versus AJ, Tamina, and Oksana. Obviously the match was shit. Guess what actually happened, though? Tamina had one of the Bellas down, and she went for the big Superfly Splash, like we didn't already see it earlier with the fucking Usos. But she misses because the Bella rolls out of the way. She rolls into her own corner, where Eva Marie tags herself in. She gets in the ring, and she rolls up Tamina after the missed splash, and she gets the win. Yes, Eva Marie, the girl who has basically hardly wrestled at all, just beat Tamina with a roll-up. So, yeah. Like I said, the match was shit. Anyways, we cut backstage to one of the hallways where Triple H and Stephanie are coming. They're coming out to come to the ring. We cut to the commercial again. When we come back, the King of Kings music hits, and out comes Triple H and Stephanie. And they call out the Big Show, and then he comes out, and they're talking back and forth. And the gist of it is like, Triple H and Stephanie are like, what do you want to make this lawsuit go away? And Show's just like, I just want my job back. And so Stephanie gives him his job back. And then he says, well, okay, but that's great, but there's one other thing that I want. Alright, and it's at this point that the Shield music hits, and the three of them start coming out. And Big Show's like, what the fuck? Why are you bringing them out? Anyways, it cuts to a commercial mid-sentence, basically. When we come back, we finally get down to what Show wants, besides his job back. He wants a shot at the WWE title against Randy Orton at Survivor Series. Triple H refuses, and Show starts leaving, and he's like, okay, fine, I guess I'll just sue the company then. And then, of course, Triple H has to back down, and he's like, okay, wait. I'll give you your title shot. And they have to drag it the fuck out because Big Show apparently has a hearing problem. He's like, what? And he has to have Triple H repeat it 5-10 more times. Finally gets right up in his face one more time. Okay, you got your match, whatever the fuck. So of course, Triple H can't go one night without being a complete fucking douchebag. Big Show has his job back and a shot at the WWE title. But since Big Show has his job back, Triple H says it's only fair that you wrestle here tonight like everybody else has. And he says you're going to be in a handicap match against The Shield. But not only will it be The Shield, but you're also going to be facing the man that you're going to face at Survivor Series, the WWE Champion Randy Orton. So out comes Randy. And Big Show has to take his fucking suit jacket off because he's wearing a suit. The match starts. And even though Show was admirably fighting everybody off, The Shield and Randy, Reigns came charging and hit a spear and leveled Show, and they basically just started beating the shit out of him. Show is able to make a small comeback, and he grabs Reigns and choke slams him. And he's still fighting back against Ambrose and Rollins, and Randy's basically cowering in a corner. And then all of a sudden, Kane's music hits. Kane comes walking out, no mask, and he's wearing a suit. Yes, Kane is wearing a suit. No mask, no hair. He comes out wearing a suit. Big Show's, of course, distracted. Randy went for the RKO, but Big Show countered out of it. Or no. The distraction of Kane was enough to distract Big Show long enough. Rollins came flying off the top rope and hit that big flying knee that he's done a few times, and that kind of staggered Show. Randy then hits the RKO on him. And I'm like, okay, match is over, but no. Randy's like, hold on a minute, and he looks over at Kane and he's like, give us chairs. Kane starts throwing a bunch of chairs into the ring, enough for all four of them. And the four of them, all three of the Shield guys and Randy, just start wailing on Show with these chairs. And of course, it wasn't a no DQ match, so the ref calls for the bell. Match is over. Show wins by DQ. They're beating the shit out of him with these chairs. They throw him out of the ring. Randy's like, we're gonna put him through the table. The announce table. Finally, on the outside of the ring, Reigns has to take apart the ring steps, and he grabs the big part on the bottom, and he slams Big Show with it. And then the Shield guys pick Show up, and they give him the big triple powerbomb through the announce table. And Stephanie's yelling at him, you're never going to be champion, and Triple H is yelling at him and all this shit. And I'm just like, why hasn't anybody come out to help Big Show? Oh yeah, I know why. Because nobody gives a fuck about the Big Show. This whole storyline was supposed to be about Daniel Bryan, and you fucked it up. You stupid fucking idiots. You ruined that storyline. It would have been fine if you would have kept it as Bryan. You didn't have to bring Big Show into it, but you already fucked it up, so that's fucked. That's pretty much the end of the show, by the way. Which basically means the show is reverted back to a few months ago, where the Shield and Randy were beating the shit out of Bryan, only now it's not Bryan, it's the Big Show. But again, nobody cares about the Big Show. I'm sorry, but this is stupid as fuck. So, even though this show was a little bit better than last week's show, like I said before, it's really not saying much. But once again, let me go over the matches. Punk and Harper started the show, was okay. Ryback and Khali was shit. It didn't last very long, and it was very slow and boring. Kofi and Del Rio was decent, aside from Kofi completely overshooting the dive. Orton versus Big E was a good match, which was a pleasant treat, actually. It was a fairly good match, actually. Fandango and Summer versus Tyson and Natalya was decent. It was nice to see Tyson's back. He's got a full head of hair now, and I'm just wondering where in the hell Evan Bourne is. But other than that, the six-man tag, Cena and the Rhodeses versus Sandow and the Real Americans was decent. Ziggler versus Axel, even though I didn't see much of it, I'm sure it was decent. The Usos versus McIntyre and Slater was crap. And then the Bellas and Eva Marie versus AJ Tamina and Oksana was shit. And don't even know if you can really count the last one, the handicap match, Show versus the Shield and Orton, as a match. DQ finish, and it really just served as being a beating for the Big Show. There wasn't really much to it. In any event, like I said, the show was better than last week, but it still wasn't really that good. But yeah, that was Raw from November 4th, 2013. Again, I'm not sure where the hell it was. I heard it was somewhere in South Carolina, but I'm not sure. They never made any mention of where it was. But whatever. Yeah, so that was Raw. Wasn't really that good, but after last week's Raw, just about anything is better. I'm gonna go do something better. So that's gonna wrap up this episode of the Wrestling Rant. Once again, thank you for joining us. Join us next time where we'll be doing probably the spoilers for SmackDown on Friday. Look forward to that. See you next time, and good night.